Hey, what is up, everyone? Hey, Jen. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Georgia Peach. Hey, Linda. What is up? What is up? So, have y'all been keeping up with the Murdaugh trial? It's just starting to get good. Last week was kind of like boring. They were, building up their big presentation, and I'll say this week the presentation is starting to unravel, and it's getting a little interesting. So if you haven't watched it, I would check it out. Hey, Thumb Thumb. And I'm gonna go over all of the latest stuff. This is not gonna be too long. I said it for 9, and then I realized that hubby had already planned to go live at 9 on TikTok for his gaming community, and both of us streaming at the same time will potentially make either me lag or him lag. So I was like, let me just go on an hour early and do this real quick. Hey, Rye. I know Rye's been watching it because he's been leaving all these comments in my community post like, I'm supposed to be working, but I've been watching it all week. Oh, man. So, all right, so it's a little confusing. So Long Crime Network has been saying, hey, Nina, they've been saying that it's like day 6, but really it's day 8 if you count the jury days. So yeah, it is starting to get really good. Like it's really starting to. Last week was really boring, and this week they've had some interesting witnesses. Now, I probably missed some parts because I've been in and out. Sometimes I'll take a nap and fall asleep, but I've watched most of the main highlights, and I got all the pictures I could find and everything like that. So I'm gonna pull out the pictures first, but I'll pull out the pictures so we have a visual of what everything looked like. Give me 1 second. All right, let me pull out the pictures. So I even grabbed some drone footage that we can look at. Okay. Where? Oh, I remember where it was. How do I do this? Moving. Okay. So Messenger's a lot different on my app. All right. I didn't crop this, but I think Daily Mail has pictures. Actually, let me do that. Daily Mail. Where the heck? I saved ones that have the I can't find them. I know I got them now. The ones where it says the. I wonder if they're on my phone. Sorry, guys. I'll find it. All right, so there's these pictures where you can see where Paul was and stuff, and I have them. I just can't remember where I saved them to. I know. Isn't my Nike shirt so cute? God forbid I get distracted and all right, guys. So wait, before I do this, let me get distracted real quick. Um, some lady left me a comment and then deleted it saying that I get easily distracted. But yes, drone footage of the property. I got that right up now, so we can look at that real quick. But she said I get easily distracted and talk about other things. But that's called what do you call it? Talking to your chat and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's how I get distracted because I'll be talking to everybody. All right, here's the drone footage. We'll watch this real quick. And while I have it on, I will find these pictures that I don't know what to do with them. That's Moselle. And that's shit. That's the kennels. And then there's like this little overhang thingy. Probably a grifter that left my comment, right? Honestly, I don't even remember where I got it, but it is cute though, isn't it? The only thing I don't like about it is it's got like a huge neck, so it like falls down there. I gotta keep going like this to it. But I do love the sparkles on it. I'm watching Name That Tune and I will get distracted, right? Well, she got mad that I was talking about my phone, but like somebody in chat literally asked me, like, oh, why didn't you let me know you were going live? And I was trying to explain my situation with my phone, and then I got off on a tangent. It's on a live stream. That's what happens. You talk to people. Sorry, if you don't like it. It was on Twitter. The pictures that I found. I know I sent them somewhere. They got to be in my phone. Oh, here's a map. Here's a good little map too. Here we go. We'll start with this. Hold on. In StreamYard, I'm having a big mess with my monitors today. Okay. What the hell? Where'd it go? Oh, no. Mm-mm. There it is. All right. So this is a diagram that Harpootlian was using talking about the possibility of two shooters. So is there even a lot. All right. So here's the thing. I totally think that he's guilty 100, like I do. But I don't feel like they have enough right in this. If the jury was to make the decision today, I feel like there is reasonable doubt, but I do think he's guilty. But I'm saying, like, presenting wise, I feel like they do need more. But I mean, that all is based on a jury and what the jury thinks. So you never really know. All right. Hopefully, you guys can see this because but I don't know if I can zoom in. Let me see. All right. It doesn't really change it. Okay. So doghouse. All right. So this is the workshop over here. This is the workshop overhang. A small animal cage. I'm guessing this is the chickens or like their the little quails or New Guineas or whatever they said they had. They have a doghouse. And over here they have dog kennels. And then here is a storage room. So minutes before. Oh, good. All right, good. You can see it on your TV. So in the dog kennels, Paul was recording a video for his friend Rogan. And I believe Rogan, from what I saw in the testimony, I don't remember exactly what the reason was, but Rogan had thought something was wrong with the dog's tail, and Paul was trying to take a video of the dog's tail for him, which I will show you the video after this. But in the start of this week, they presented their two shooters theory. And this is where Paul was found, right outside of the kennels in the storage room. And this is where Maggie was found over here. This is marker 1, a shot shell wad. I have no idea what that is. If that... I don't know what a shot shell wad is. I feel like I should Google that. Devil, you probably know what that is. What is a shot shell wad? It is something to reload your gun. For your shotgun load. For loading a shotgun, I guess. And then 2, which is here, is, or 2 through 7 is cartridge cases. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 9 or 8 is tire impressions. So there was tire impressions, I guess, underneath the overhang. And then marker 9 and 10 is shot shells in the storage room. There's a back door over here. Huh. So do they... Marker 12, which is here, suspected biological material, and 13 is a bullet strike in gravel. And then a projectile over here. So it almost looks like... I'm not sure what these arrows are. Are they saying that the stuffing in a shotgun bullet. It keeps the BBs and gunpowder packed into place. Ah, okay. A plastic cup inside of a shotgun shell that separates the powder from the projectiles. Gotcha. Thank you. So I'm wondering if they're trying to say somebody came around from the back of the storage room and shot him from there. See, I could see it like it being one person having a shotgun coming through here, shooting Paul, and then coming back around or grabbing a gun in here maybe. Or, I mean, they had guns laying all over the place. He could have easily, shot Paul, dropped a gun, took that gun and then grabbed another one and then shot Maggie to make it look like two shooters. But I wouldn't... This is what is a little concerning to me. Where's Mel? She made a good point earlier. So apparently they are holding... Let me show you guys. Give me a second. Eddie in jail. And the reason is... Oh, it's in my text messages. It said like holding for... It has his picture, like his mugshot, and it says holding for safekeeping. So it's making me wonder, maybe he made a deal and they're holding him for trial, and that's why it says holding for safekeeping, and he may be like a huge witness. You know what I mean? He's definitely testifying this week, I'm pretty sure. I'm almost positive he's testifying this week. So I feel like that is going to be big. And hey, Ellie, wonder if, he made a deal, like cut a deal or something, All right, here. And then I do have some photos. Alright, so is that thing? The shotgun thing? I guess this is inside the storage room. It's like blood and that maybe that plastic shotgun thing. The shot shell wad. Hold on one second. My son wants to tell me something. All right, sorry. He was inquiring about a toy. All right, well that's one. And then this, I'm guessing, is where Maggie was found. Give me a second. I'm downloading it. That looks like the doghouse in the doghouse and the overhang at the thing. So I'm guessing this is where Maggie was found laying on the ground. Well, they show. All right, so the diagram that they showed, Sarah, the storage room and the kennels are like connected. And his body looks like it's right in the doorway of the storage room. But like it's basically the same thing. Ah, okay. Cool. Let me see. This is what a shot shell wad is. That's kind of like what it looks like on the ground. Like it looks like the plastic thing is in that one picture. All right. I think this is Alex's Suburban. I'm not really sure. Like I think this is what he was driving. It looks like dip on the floor, like a thing of dip. So I'm guessing that's not Maggie's car. You see it right there? That's dip, right? That's what it looks like to me. Oh, okay, cool. Gotcha. Yeah, I think this is Alex's Suburban. I don't know what they're trying to show in this picture, but that's one of the pictures that they shared. All right, here is Maggie's phone. That's her screen. And then here is her texts and her calls, I believe. So she was in a group chat with the Murdaughs because their dad is sick in the hospital, and their mom, I think, has what you call dementia. And then I don't know who Jean Ann Boulware is. I'm guessing that might be her friend that she said Alex was up to something. And then this is Alex. He dips. Yeah, it's Alex. So Alex, I have like a timeline of the calls, which I'll explain. But he texted her that supposedly on his way home from his mom's. And then Rogan was the guy who was on the stand today. He's Paul's friend. Paul was supposed to send him that video of the dog's tail, and the video never got sent. Let me see if there's any more. Oh, yeah, her call log. Here is her call log. So Alex, right when Alex called her, that was around the time they were probably they were already murdered by that point, I believe, where his 5 calls came in. All right, and let me show you guys the video, which I have up as well. All right, so this is the video from the kennels. Now, this is all right. So there was supposedly a lot of excess water there. They said it couldn't have been from rain. So I'm not sure if they were cleaning the kennels and maybe hosing them down, or whoever did this maybe took the hose and sprayed all over the area to get rid of evidence. Yeah, I think they were too. Like, he was trying to make it look like he was calling her, like he was like, oh, why isn't she answering, to make it, to give him like an alibi, I guess. So a couple people have said it sounds like Maggie says he's got a bird in his mouth, Eddie, but I hear like, hey, he's got a bird in his mouth, like she's going like, hey, you know what I mean? But some people are saying that it sounds like she's saying, Eddie, he has a bird in his mouth. But you can hear, I think it sounds exactly like Alex, like his voice like it sounds just like him to me. And he has a very distinct voice, I feel like his voice has a very distinct sound, and I think it sounds just like him. So let me play it real quick.
Quit, Cash. Quit. It's okay. Come here. It's not bad. Come here, Cash. Shit. Come here. Post it. Cash.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit. Post it. Cash.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth.
Hey, Bubba.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken.
Come here, Bubba.
Come here, Cash.
Come here, Bubba.
Cash. Quit.
All right, hold on one second. So yeah, it sounds like he's saying, hey, he's got a bird in it. Like I hear like, hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Oh, can you send that to me on Facebook, Nina? In our Facebook chat, because we have to try and set it that way anyway, because I can't navigate my phone. Yeah, it sounds like hey to me. So it sounds like Cash is this dog and Bubba's the other dog, and she goes, hey, he's got a bird in his mouth, and then Alex goes, Bubba. So it sounds like Alex is there to me. And this is the big thing, because Alex claims he was at the house taking a nap. So this is where they're trying to put holes in his theory, saying that he was there because he told the police that he was taking a nap. And I have a little timeline of Maggie's phone time. So all the times are PM. At 7:50 p.m., there's an outgoing call to Barbara Mixon. It's 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Yeah, it was definitely him, in my opinion. And then the last outgoing and last speaking call overall by Maggie. Every call after is missed. So at 7:50 p.m., that's her last speaking call. At 8:17, the phone is unplugged from charger. Between 8:17 and 8:18, 38 steps are logged. Between 8:30 and 8:33, 44 steps are logged. At 8:31, she receives and reads a group text from John Marvin Murdaugh. He plans to visit their dad the next day. He asks if anyone else plans to go. At 8:49, text received and read from Lynn Goatee, Alex's sister. She's in court all week. Can't go visit. Oh, she says she's in court all week, that she can't go visit, and the phone locks for the final time, and then this display goes off. So this is at 8:31. So we know she's, from what it sounds like, she's still alive. And at 8:44, Paul makes a video, and you can hear her talking. So they're still alive at 8:44. Between 8:53 and 8:55, 59 steps are logged. At 8:53, the display turns on. The phone orientation changes to portrait mode, and the camera activates for 1 second and records nothing. So it makes me wonder if she flipped her phone to go take a video or a picture of something in the kennels or whatever, and that's when something went down. Because then at 8:55, which is the alleged time where they believe this happened, the display turns off, no more steps are logged. Between 9:04 and 9:08, 3 missed calls and an unread text from Alex in quick succession. So he claims he was at the house taking a nap. I believe he texts her and says something along the lines of, like, I'm going to check on mom, be right back. And then he supposedly goes there, and then on his way back, he calls her, or he tries to call her a couple times and then texts her and says, I'm going to check on mom, be right back. And then on the way home, I believe he calls her again and she doesn't answer. And then he sends a text that says, call me, babe. Yeah, 9:04, missed call from Alex. 9:06, display on, phone orientation changes to portrait, as if in someone's hand. 2 seconds later, incoming call missed from Alex. Another missed call from Alex soon afterward, display off. No more orientation changes afterward. So maybe someone picked it up and was holding it and the orientation changed. At 9:08, an unread text from Alex, going to check on mom. Be right back. Okay, that's where it happened. So we're at 9:08 now. He tries to call. Alex tries to call several times. She doesn't answer. And then somebody picks up her phone. And then he texts going to check on mom. Now, I'm curious if the phone was found. All right, so like if you go out of the property, whichever way towards his mother's house, I'm curious if he came out of the property and like threw it in the grass, but in the way that it goes to his mother's house. This 9:31 display comes on and off a few times, no known reason. So like the display's coming on, but there's no like activity. It's just the orientation and stuff. 9:34, unread text received from Paul's friend, Rogan Gibson, who was on stand today. He says, tell Paul to call me. 9:45 p.m., missed call from Alex. 9:47 p.m., unread text received from Alex, in quotes, call me, babe. 10:03, another missed call from Alex. June 8th, 1:10 p.m., phone unlocked again using passcode after found on side of the road by sled. So it was unlocked the next day at 1:10 p.m. So at 10:03, there's a missed call, and then 10:07 is when Alex calls 911. Yes, same too. Like, I want to too. Like, I go back and forth because I guess it's just so hard for me to imagine that somebody could do this to their own kid, and you're like, you don't want to like believe that, so you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but then like at the same time, I do think that because of all the money stuff, that maybe he just made, he was not in the right mind and made a terrible error, I guess, All right, let me check real quick too. All right, so here's a tweet that says, here's the second incriminating video. It shows Alex Murdaugh at Moselle just prior to the murders wearing different clothes than the ones he was wearing at the scene. These are the clothes we reported last week are still missing. Oh, wow. Well, that's big if they can't find these clothes. Hey, Peppermint Schmoka. I think he did it alone, too, if he, But I will say that the defense is doing pretty well, and I hate to say that, but they are doing well. I'm hoping that Eddie is like, a big witness. But this is hours before the murders, and this is Alex in different clothes, and they never found these. Like, they searched the house, and they never found these. So, I probably should go in order, but Rogan was on the stand today, and I feel like he was a really good witness. He said it's 99% Alex's voice, and he knows Alex, and he knows his voice, and that was definitely his voice. And he also said that Maggie often stayed at I think it said Edison Beach House because she didn't like the flies at Moselle. So that's why she would stay there. So maybe they weren't getting a divorce, and maybe that was the case. I know there was a lot of talk about them getting divorced, and I'm thinking maybe just because she would stay over the other place. Did anyone here in court them say anything about a divorce yet? I've missed some parts, so I'm not totally sure. But that's crazy if they can't find these clothes. I did take a video of when they searched the house. I saved the link for that somewhere. I think it's this one. Let's see. When he took a nap, he changed to comfy clothes he had on in the cop interview. That's what he's saying. Oh, yeah, here's where they search the house where all his guns are.
So when autopsy is over, the funeral home, whoever decides to do, they will bring Paul and Miss Maggie back home, and then from there you make the arrangements as far as funerals and different things. On y'all's timeline, not ours.
What's typical of the autopsy time?
So I'm not sure if it is scheduled for today. My guess.
A lot of guns.
Do you know, Jeff, when the autopsy?
Not yet, I don't.
My guess.
I can find out and let you know. I'll step outside and call and see if they've already made.
Find out.
Yes, sir, in USC.
Yep, I'll step outside.
So I would imagine,
About a half hour ago, they have not started it yet, is what Rich Harvey, coroner, told me.
okay, so that means they are in the process of doing it, they're already there. So, and they will come back home to y'all tonight. So then from there, you can,
Some of the tests take longer as far as any kind of toxicology or gun stuff, anything like that,
I don't
that they
mean to
may.
be insensitive, but because there are two people, it will take a little bit longer. They will be able to return. They will be able to return the bodies to y'all, or to the funeral home. But there are other tests, toxicology, tissue samples, results like that, that will take at least a month. But that will not affect
No.
you making funeral arrangements at all.
Once
That's
they
why
get the
they take
sample,
it and return.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so we tell Alex to give it a couple of days.
I'm gonna step out and call and see if the
So do you have an idea what funeral you want to use?
Sure, so we
So you can go ahead and call Gordon and say, hey, this is.
All right, cool.
Edisto Beach. Yes, thank you. I knew it was something like that, like Edison or Edisto. I knew it had an ED. All right, so here's day 6. We'll go over like a day 6 blog that gives all the info for day 6 so far. And then I'll go over 7 and 8. Just there was another one of Paul's friends on the stand today too. Lowing, I forget his name. Will Lowing. Was it Will? Something with an L, like Lowing or something like that. Lowing. In Colleton County Courthouse Monday, prosecutors continued to present their cases. All right, so Melinda Worley, sled, foot, and tire tread expert, helped modify a crime scene diagram to show possible bullet trajectory with defense attorney Dick Harpootlian during Alex Murdaugh's trial for murder at the Colleton County Courthouse. Let me put up the picture. I heard that I didn't see them mapping out the 2-shooter theory, but I heard that it was actually really good. That oh, thank you, Georgia. I can't see it on my end. Thank you. Thank you so much. So this is the person helping him map out that there was 2 possible shooters, which if there was, I think it would be Eddie, right? Like, I feel like if he used him for that other job I doubt there's that many people that are willing to just, do something like that. And if that guy was willing to, do that, then I feel like he would be a good, what do you call, like a good suspect for a second person. And it's making me wonder if he took a deal or something because, they said holding for safekeeping, which is a weird wording for me. I'm just seeing if there's any good pictures. Here's Buster and John Marvin. So by the way, Fox does like a really good blog for every day, and they take lots of pictures and share them and stuff, and I really like the way they map it out. And then I think it's Fox 10 that does it. Photograph showing, hold on. A photograph showing how crime scene diagrams made by SLED remain or should as evidence during Alex's trial for murder. Oh, they use like a straw or something? Oh, to get the angle, I see. Alright, cool. Shoot. Oh, darn it, I lost it. Hold on 1 second. Where? Basic recap. No. Oh my gosh, I clicked out of it and now I can't find it. Blog. Like blog. News. Can I just go in my search history? Hold on. Let me go on my history. I just changed to like Windows 11 and I'm like learning how to do all this stuff. How do I look at my history?
About 8,540,000 results anytime.
Where's that coming from?
Alex Murdaugh.
Oh no. Oh my gosh, I just set off the sound thing. Yeah, it is hard to picture Alex running around like Rambo killing people. I agree with that. I do agree with that. He just seemed. I think it's like, I don't know. I go back and forth. Like, I think it's kind of likely that he could have had help, but then I'm like, maybe he didn't. I don't know, but I feel like if he did, oh, all right, I found it. I feel like if he did, it was Eddie. And I feel like they might pull that out of their back pocket and be like, "Well, bam," you know. All right, so I'm trying to see. I think it starts from up here. Yeah. Like, look how cool this is. They map it out really well. I don't know if we'll read all of it because it's a lot, but and I went over some of it already. Jeez, man. Alright, so Worley has the diagram. Harpootlian pushes on a bloody footprint in the feed room that belonged to someone responding to the scene. Alright, so that was... Alright, so this is when he arrives. Harpootlian is asking Worley questions about the diagram of the scene she created. Alright, is that a little easier? Can you guys see that okay? Harpootlian asks about a 3D scan of the scene. Worley says they made a scan but were unable to make the scan of the on the night of the murders because of the rain. Alex hired someone, wife was shot, son heard the shot, took him out. I don't think. All right, so I think there could be another reasonable explanation. Maybe I do have a hard time seeing Alex doing it himself, so maybe he hired someone and he just like got them there and then he left and let them come in and do it. You know what I mean? Like he lured them there and then left before it happened. But it does seem like he changed his clothes and all that, so I don't know. It's I go back and forth. Harpootlian goes through the Pharaoh scan with Worley, asking her to point out landmarks as they go. Harpootlian's questioning is centering around a projectile found in the dog bed. Oh, we were trying to figure that out. I guess they do have dog beds then. Because it looked like all of the cages were empty, but I was thinking maybe they were like spraying it down and that's why all the water was all over, because they said there was a bunch of excess water. So maybe, it was like water all over the place. Alex looks on as the prosecution reviews a series of photos presented by Harpootlian. Newman sends the jury to the jury room to give lawyers on both sides the opportunity to review and mark exhibits. Back from break, Harpootlian asks about an entrance and an eject point on the quail cage. Worley explains she used a flight path rod. Alright, so questioning centers around the quail cage, and he shifted to the doghouse and dog bed. He says that based on the angle of the entrance at the dog bed, the bullet originated from beyond the feed room entrance. The angle is 84 degrees. So basically, yeah. I think so too, Ryan. I think he had help in some way for sure, because it's. I mean, he's a lawyer. I get it, so he understands these things, but he seems like too. Like he's not. I don't know. Like he doesn't like to get his hands dirty type guy. You know what I mean? Like someone else do it for me. I don't want to do it. But at the same time, if he was using all those drugs and that's real, that could really skew his thinking and him be more worried about like it coming out about his financial crimes and thinking that he's going to go to jail for his financial crimes. So he kills them thinking he can get away with it, or hire someone to do it and thinking he can make it look like somebody did it so that it steers away from there. Because if he does go to jail for his financial crimes, then he can't continue to do his drugs and all that stuff. So I feel like, people in those situations will make desperate choices, I'm going to skip through to see the main stuff, because this is just, he has brought out a ruler, but I'm not really sure what point he's trying to make. Currently seems like he's walking Worley through Sled's process to determine trajectory and angles of bullets, I guess to try and show that there may have been two shooters. The Eternal General Alan Wilson is here today as well. He's arguing about shots fired from the 300 blackout. Were not fired from near the feed door. Close shots into the feed room that killed Paul. Says AR was some distance from the feed room. He then asked Worley if it's possible that two shooters were present on the night of the murders. Harpootlian also asked if the projectiles collected were tested for blood. Asked if they could have passed through Maggie or if they were misses. Worley isn't sure if they were tested. Harpootlian turns to Paul's bloody footprints in the feed room, says a portion of the impressions were facing the back of the room. The first shot, Harpootlian says, is to the chest and out through the left arm, indicating he was facing the other direction. She pushes back, saying she can't say which direction Paul was facing, so they don't know. I mean, he could have been shot and then turned or something, so. So there was an impression on Maggie's calf. Worley says he can't say for sure if it was a shoe. She says if she had realized it was a footwear impression, it would have been properly documented. So I guess there was a mark. That would be crazy. Someone stepping on the back of her calf. They sticking with the Rambo theory. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see it either. So I think this is the one we already looked at, though. Yeah. All right. So basically, he's saying that there could have been two shooters. The state goes back to the feed room. Good enters the photos of the front of an ATV. So, all right, here's another thing. He could have gotten back to the house within a minute on an ATV. So, I think Buster was 2 hours away. Because I remember, all right, so if you remember correctly, Alex gets on the phone and Buster's just pulling up at 1 in the morning. So I think I'm not 100% sure on this, but I do think Buster was far away and had to drive all the way home. Maybe at college or something. I don't know, but I don't think he was nearby. All right, so Maggie's body was found to the right of an ATV that appeared to be biological matter was on the front of the ATV. The Attorney General, Savannah Good, asked if they could determine if the impression on Maggie's calf was a shoe, and Worley says no. This is crazy. So Harpootlian is back for more than for cross-exam, and he asked if swabs were taken from the ATV or the pool of water to check to see if there was blood. And Worley says no. Why wouldn't they check the ATV that had matter on it, and why wouldn't they check the water? She says she doesn't do crime scene reconstruction, just documents. All right, so here is the diagram, which we looked at already. All right, so next is Jeff Croft. He's the next person called to the stand by the state. He is assigned to Low Country Region in Carleton County in 2021. He was called around 5:30 a.m. on June 8th to come to the scene, but was rerouted to the office. Interviewed Rogan Gibson. All right, so he interviewed Rogan Gibson, which is Paul's best friend, and took snapshots of Gibson's cell phone. The snapshots have been admitted into evidence. Shows an incoming call from Paul at 8:40 p.m. on June 7th, 4 minutes long. An incoming call from Paul at 8:44, which is when he made that video. Some texts between Rogan and Paul were also shown. Rogan sends a text to Paul at 8:49. See if you can get a good picture of it. No response from Paul. 9:58, text from Rogan to Paul. Yo, no response from Paul. Outgoing calls to Paul from Gibson. 9:10, 9:29 p.m. 1 second. 9:42 p.m. 1 second. 9:57 p.m. 4 seconds. So I'm guessing he didn't answer any of those calls. So really, this probably happened at like right after he took that video. I mean, that's what it sounds like. Around like 8:50, all of this went down. I mean, that's what it seems like, because that's when there's like no activity on their phones whatsoever. There's just like an area with, that's when it all stops. You know what I mean? 9:43 p.m. Gibson texts Maggie, tell Paul to call me. Missed calls from Alex. So then Alex calls him at 10:21, 10:24, 10:25, and 10:30. Swab was taken from Rogan Gibson to get a DNA sample, and Croft and agent Katie McAllister performed the interview. At the interview, Croft briefs agent David Owen on the interview before going home. I can't see shit. Hold on. I need to put my glasses on too. All right, there we go. Yeah, that's why I think these like make a huge blur with this one. I feel like he knew to call Paul because he went through Paul's phone. Like, I don't know, because he says, I touched Paul's phone and I tried to do something with it, and then I decided not to. And it was like, why? I always found that really strange. So, wait, I'm not here. Hold on. All right, that's the interview. All right, goes to secure firearms and ammunition. Croft says he was trying to locate firearms that would fire ammunition, like the casings at the scene, and also look for other spent shell casings. 2 body cam videos from Croft will be shown in the courtroom. The defense objects to playing of sound in one video, and prosecutor Creighton Waters says it will be played without volume. Note, we are unable to see video. Croft narrates the video since it doesn't have sound. The footage begins with him walking up to the side of the door of the gun room. Blackout cases are found. Video footage showed Croft introducing himself to some people. Croft said they're partners at Murdaugh's former firm. The video continues with agents explaining what they are looking for in the search of the home and gun room. Croft talks about a .223 mag seen on the video, says the magazine is the same length and could house a blackout round. Croft explains the difference. Both calibers can be fired from an AR frame. Blackout is larger and has more stopping power. A .223 is faster and does not have the same amount of stopping power. Croft says they never found another gun that would fire a blackout round other than the one in the gun room. Says they did find 12 gauge shotguns. So the blackout, apparently they all had blackout rifles, but they couldn't find any of the blackout rifles. So I think that's really, really, yeah, I thought that too, Georgia. He claims he tried to turn Paul over and he looked through his phone, but he literally had no blood on him, none on his skin, none on his knee. He was perfectly clean. His clothes were clean. I just find that really shady. I don't think he ever tried to check for their pulse or anything. I think he lied and just said that because I think that, he already knew. Yeah, I think so too. He was trying to control the narrative with Rogan. You know how they are. Anytime something goes down, anyone that's remotely involved that could be a witness, they try and get to right away and get, in with them and control what they say and things like that. I think he called, you're exactly right, Sarah. I believe he called Rogan right the hell away because he knew Paul had been talking to him and he knew the cops are going to interview him. And he wanted to get to him first, and that's that. Croft holds an AR-15 style rifle taken from the house located on Moselle property. The magazine taken out of the gun contains S&B 300 blackout ammunition with the same markings and casings found near Maggie's body. Next up is a Browning 12 gauge from the home. The defense again objects and is overruled. 2 more 12 gauge shotguns are presented to Croft in court. Another objection from the defense. Waters delivers a rebuttal that the guns are relevant to the case and show detail and depth of the investigation as far as firearms are concerned. He continues to say that the guns were tested and the results of the test will be entered later. They examine the guns. Defense has objected to nearly every gun presented in the state. Waters responds, "This is the last time stating that it is relevant to show how many family-owned guns were tested as part of the investigation." He also promises an analyst later today. We saw that. We saw that video with the pool table and everything. They're just showing evidence. Maggie's phone was located away from the crime scene. Croft and other agents found it between a 1.5 mile away from the scene. Oh, that's farther than I thought. I thought it was like right outside the gate. I didn't know it was like a 1/2 mile away. That's pretty wild. I didn't know that. Hey, TF. On the side of Moselle Road. So it was on Moselle Road? How big is Moselle Road? I'm going to have to look that up. All right, so Waters asked Croft about a DNR agent who has a side business building and selling firearms. Says the man built guns for Murdaugh that were chambered for 300 blackout ammunition. The man was able to provide Croft with paper from firearm sales to Murdaugh. Another piece of paperwork showing Maggie Murdaugh purchasing another 300 blackout was also provided to Croft later. Oh. ATF. Oh, the same things. You got a membership? Welcome to the lounge. What is this? Pictures of the blackout shell casings found around the house stoop. The same kind and brand. I mean, they just had casings and guns everywhere. Oh, there she is, Nancy Grace. Sorry, I'm just trying to see what is relevant and what's not. All right, Murdaugh's phone is taken to have its data downloaded. Investigators ask Murdaugh to take him through what happened Monday. He says he can't remember exactly what he did Monday. He says he went to the office in Hampton. Murdaugh says he was working on motions for a Dominion case and a civil case where he was a defendant related to the boat crash. So he was a defendant in a case related to the boat crash. So they probably were going to look into his financials if he was the defendant. Because I know a lot of people said, oh, well, if it was just Paul, how would that affect Alex? But if Alex was a defendant in a civil case related to the boat crash, then that's a whole different story. That's not Paul, that's Alex. And they would definitely look into his financials because it's a civil case. Says he thought Maggie was home and maybe their housekeeper be honest. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Murdaugh says he left work early because Paul was coming home. Says Paul had been in Charleston and stayed with Alex's brother on Sunday night. Murdaugh says he and Paul rode around the property and did some target practice with a .22. Of course they did. They did target practice, and that would explain why he had gunshot residue on his hands. If he did. Well, no, he didn't have it on his... Did he have it on his hands? He had it on the raincoat and the steering wheel. So he probably washed his hands, but that would explain... I mean, I don't know if that's actually happened or if he just threw that in there to explain away GSR, but it makes sense. And Maggie had a doctor's appointment that day. They all got back together to have dinner. Maggie went to the kennels, but he wasn't sure how she got there. He tells the investigators that he assumed Paul went to the kennels too. He didn't go and stayed in the house, and he played on his phone and he fell asleep, he says. He says he doesn't remember what time he got up, and he sent a text to Maggie saying he was going to his mom's. Murdaugh says he heard what sounded like a car pull up, but it wasn't. Says not much time passed between him waking up and leaving. Says he drove to his mom's and checked on her and talked to Shelley, his mother's caregiver. Said he called his brother John and Chris Wilson and his son Buster, who was at Rock Hill with his girlfriend. Exactly, Georgia. Well, yeah, I guess, but I mean, maybe because if Paul was, that's a good point, but if Paul was gone, maybe they wouldn't be able to do anything. I don't know. That's a good point though. But I mean, Paul was about to go to trial, so if Paul was dead, it wouldn't be able to go to trial, and maybe he thought he would get sympathy because of this and that, it would be put off or something. I don't know. When Murdaugh returned, he went inside the house and no one was there and went to the kennels. Says he didn't see anything other than Maggie and Paul. I knew it was bad, Murdaugh says, and he says he called 911. Murdaugh says the situation unsettled him and that's why he went to get a gun and he drove back to the house. He's asked about threats to Paul. So also, oh yeah, I'm sure there's more to it too. Also, Paul's friend did say that he did receive threats because of, he was on the stand today, and he said that he did receive threats. Murdaugh says Maggie got home after he and Paul went riding on the farm, and that everything was good. He asked if they had any good clues, and they said they're trying to expedite the processing of clues, and they took a DNA sample. They asked for Paul's passcode to his phone. He says he doesn't know it. It'll surprise me greatly if somebody knows it, Murdaugh says. All right, and that's from that day. 22 GSR is very different from centerfire cartridges. So if they have the right lab, they can nuke that as a defense. Oh. Oh, this was on 3? I swore the one I had before was like a Fox one. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, let me see. Trying to see if there's anything like important that I missed. Here's day 7. All right. Let me zoom in. I have to turn my head sideways because this monitor I can see better. So if I'm not looking at you guys, it's because I'm reading, just an FYI. All right. So this is all right. So this is all Maggie's phone. I read this already, where like her phone times and everything with all the stuff that she did in her phone and when the orientation change. So Jeff Croft faced cross-examined from attorney Jim Griffin Tuesday morning. Croft testified that during an interview with the Murdaugh, a video which he played to the jury Monday, Murdaugh said of Paul, it was so bad, I did him so bad. Okay, so this was a big thing, like a huge thing. They couldn't tell to the prosecutors. It sounded like Alex starts crying and he's like, I did him so bad, but a lot of other people hear they. So I guess it's really all what you hear. If it's slowed down, it sounds like they to me, but when it's faster, it kind of sounds like I. So I can't really tell, but they say that he said it was so bad, I did him so bad. But it does sound like he said it was so bad, they did him so bad, which they would be interesting too, because he's talking about it sounds like more than one person, but I don't know. It is odd, Georgia, especially with all them dogs there. Like, I would have security cameras on all. I have security cameras in my lizard's tank so I can watch what they're doing when I'm not home. Why wouldn't you have security cameras in the kennels? So, but some people in the courtroom heard that portion differently and sounded like Murdaugh said they did him so bad, not I did him so bad, which I think was really stupid by the prosecution to play because you can't really tell and it didn't really help. That Murdaugh said they instead of I was the crux of Griffin's cross-examination of the interview as he replayed that portion of the interview to court. Did you consider that to be some kind of confession? On June 10th, Griffin says. Croft says it was something they were going to look into. Griffin would play the clip at regular speed twice before playing the clip slowed down to 1/3 speed. Did you hear they then? Griffin says. No, sir, I did not, Croft says. Griffin also questioned Croft on finding shotgun shells commonly used for hunting waterfowl on the property, with Griffin insisting they weren't found during the search of the property. In redirect, the prosecutor, Creighton Waters, Croft would be handed several evidence bags containing Winchester dry-lock 12-gauge shotgun shells, similar to the one that was used to shoot Paul. Croft also opened 12-gauge buckshot shells taken from the property. These are similar to the other shotgun shell used to shoot Paul. Griffin argued that these shells weren't collected until September 2021 search of the property and that Mazzell had not been secured from the time of the murders. Yeah, I don't get down with it either, Devil, but I think they did it because they were like hunting dogs, but still, I can't imagine ever just having dogs live in a kennel. You know what I mean? Like, it's a terrible way to keep them, in my opinion, but cell phone records from Alex, Paul, and Maggie were also entered into the court Tuesday morning, along with records of C.B. Rowe, Marty Cook, Rogan Gibson, and Alex's oldest son, Buster. Much was made about the effort to get into Paul's cell phone without having knowledge of his passcode. Paul McManganel, a digital forensics examiner from the Charleston County Sheriff's Office, testified he was unable to get into the phone. Subsequently, Paul's phone was passed to Secret Service agent Jonathan Van Houten, who said he was able to use a brute force tactic to crack the passcode on the phone. He was first given the phone on March 21st, 2022, and it was returned to SLED 3 days later. Britt Dove from SLED's Computer Crime Center is the last witness called on Tuesday. She records taken from Maggie's phone. Okay, so she's the one who went over Maggie's phone timeline, which I already did. If you haven't seen it, go back to the beginning. I go over all of Maggie's timeline. Like after the show, you can go back, but I go over her whole timeline on her phone of everything that she did and all her calls up until when she was murdered. On Monday, defense attorneys continue to question the way authorities collected and analyzed evidence in the shooting deaths of Murdaugh's wife and son, including numerous guns owned by the Murdaugh family now that are evidence in the case. Some of the weapons included the same kind that killed Murdaugh, 300 Blackout rifle and shotguns, respectively. The defense began to object the firearms were introduced, saying prosecutors had not established any relevance to them So they did this again? The state has listed more than 200 potential witnesses, but it's not clear how many they intend to call to the stand. Prosecutors estimated the trial would take about 3 weeks to complete. Murdaugh is facing life in prison. All right, let's try. And then today was day 8, which was Paul's friend. Two friends, which I think Rogan was a great witness for the prosecution. I really, really liked Rogan's testimony. All right, so sorry, there's a lot. I was going to go over some screenshots I had for Jennifer Brown today, but I feel like this might take a little bit. So I don't want to mess Dave's stream up that much longer. So maybe I'll play them tomorrow or make a little video about it. But in a nutshell, I'll give you the rundown on Jennifer Brown real quick. Her business partners are little liars. They said they did this GoFundMe so they could get money because they didn't receive any loans or grants, which they did receive a loan that I found out about. And they had some like sus things they said on Facebook, so I'm going to show them probably tomorrow. But all right, so day 8 is underway. Dove went through several reports that were taken from Maggie Murdaugh's phone. Her phone was locked down in regard to location data on the night of the murders. Dove is then given a phone belonging to Alex. He performed a full extraction on Alex's phone. Hold on, let me make this bigger. It says he used Gray Key to pull the data and Celebrate to analyze the data. The same process was used on Maggie's phone. Dove says some information was removed because of client privilege, including some texts and emails, but not calls. Oh, I guess some of his like lawyer stuff. Call logs show an outgoing call on June 4th, 2021, then not another call until another outgoing call is made on June 7th at 10:25 p.m. Dove testifies that the call logs generally stay around longer because people don't make as many phone calls. Dove says a gap would indicate the calls were removed. Dove says you could delete records from the call log, but nothing else would explain the gap in the call log. Dove says it appears the calls were deleted based on reports. So there was calls. I believe there was a few calls to Maggie, or maybe one call to Maggie that was deleted. Alex definitely deleted some stuff in his phone. Dove says the calls were removed between June 7th, 2021 and his receiving the phone in September 2021. Dove testifies he did nothing to manipulate the call log. Dove is given a Celebrate report of Alex's text message. He's looking for the 8:31 p.m. text in the group chat Alex and Maggie were included in. Shows read June 8th, 2021, 1:49 p.m. Another text from 8:31 p.m. is also read at 1:49 p.m. A text from John Marvin. I don't understand. How is that possible, though? Because it says at 8:31 p.m. is also, he didn't read it till the next day at 1:44, I guess. Sent a text on June 7th at 9:08 p.m. Going to check on him. Be right back. Another sent at 9:47. Call me, babe. So that if he was involved, this would have been after it all went down. Sent a text at 10:24 p.m. to Rogan. Says, call me. Dove is handed the timeline report for Alex's phone for June 7th, 2021. He also given the health He is also given the health database report. 49 steps, June 7th, from 6:02 to 6:07 p.m. 173 steps, June 7th, 6:14 to 6:23. He then reiterates that the steps aren't 100% accurate and can't tell distance or stop and stop points. Motion recorded while being held or in a pocket would not record from a car cup holder. So I guess these are all the steps from that night, and these steps are important because they're around the times of between the times of the murders. 283 steps between 9:02 and 9:06, which would have been after everything went down. No steps are recorded between 8:09 and 9:06, which would have been when the murders happened. So I wonder if he just put his phone down and then picked his phone up afterwards, or he was sleeping, or he left it in the house to make it look like he was sleeping. If you're on your way to divorce, I don't think text me, babe, is how they talk to each other, right? I don't know if they were, though, because, like, I heard that they were, but now I'm hearing that Maggie just stayed at the other place because she didn't like the flies at Moselle. So I don't know if they were or not. Like, I was really confused about that because Alex talked like they were fine. You know what I mean? Like, he talked like they had no issues. Dove says Alex's phone would not have the orientation data from June since he didn't receive the phone until September. Alex's pattern of reading text messages brought into question, says Alex's general pattern of reading text was within an hour. A group text message was received at 8:31 and not read until the next day. Paul's phone was introduced into court. SLED was unable to process Paul's phone in August of 2021. Dove spoke to Van Houten from the Secret Service in March 22, took the phone to him. His extraction was successful. Dove got a full file extraction from Paul's phone. Paul's record and reports are entered into evidence. All right, so here's his call log. At 8:32, he rejected Robert. Who's Robert? I don't know who Robert is. 8:40, answered Rogan Gibson. Outgoing at 8:44, Rogan Gibson FaceTime 11 seconds. Answered. The call ended at 8:44. The call was the last outgoing call on Paul's phone. No other calls were answered after this time. And that would explain why Alex was so, like, adamant about calling Rogan. Like, it was weird. Like, he called Rogan to come over while all this was going on. Oh, yeah, I think they were ambushed. Yeah, I heard that too, Lori, but I haven't heard it in court. Like, I haven't heard it in court yet, so I don't know. I'm confused about that. 8:40. All right, hold on. All right, 8:48. Incoming text from Megan. Don't like watching sad movies. Read at 8:48. So maybe he was still okay at 8:48. From Megan. No, I need something happy. Incoming text from Rogan. Status unread. 8:49. 9:58. Incoming text from Rogan. Yo, status unread. So I guess at like 8:49 is the like 8:49 and 9:06 would be the time frame in question. Unread text from Rogan on Paul's phone. Paul's battery was at 2%. Dove says the battery percentage would not have been low enough to allow him to read Rogan's text when the other texts were read 36 seconds prior. 10:34 p.m. Paul's phone dies. Dove says if he had printed multiple days, it would have been thousands of pages long. So Paul used his phone a lot. Dove says Paul's phone collected more location data compared to Maggie's. Well, I would imagine that's because he had more apps open. All right. More text from Paul's phone. 8:29. Megan, you didn't send me any movie recommendations. 8:29 outgoing to Megan. Ha, I didn't have a good one. 8:29 outgoing to Megan. 8:30 incoming from Megan. 8:48 outgoing to Megan. Last outgoing text from Paul at 8:48 incoming from Megan. All right, so yeah, 8:49 is the time in question. I'm just seeing if any of this is that important. All right, these are Paul's steps, and his steps end at 8:42. Maggie's orientation change is brought back up. Dove said the phone that tumbles end over could cause an orientation change. So it doesn't mean somebody picked it up. It could have just fell and something hit the screen and it turned on and it was sideways. If someone throws a phone, could it be thrown without an orientation change? Dove says it's possible. Conversation shifts to other things that have been recorded. Dove says the video was found on Paul's phone at 8:45 on June 7th. The location data from the video matches the building. Dove was handed a video from Paul's phone, which is the kennel video, which I played, and you can hear Alex's voice, I think, pretty clear. So he said he was sleeping for all that time. So that if that was his voice, he wasn't sleeping. He would have left the kennels and went straight to his mom's. He wouldn't have been sleeping. So that definitely puts a hole in his story for sure. Defense begins cross-exam. Asks, is it possible to see a text without opening it? Dove says yes. Asks if Paul could have curtailed because of battery life. Dove says possible. I don't know whether it. All right, so Dove is handed an app report from Maggie's phone. The report gives Siri UI starts and stops. Dove says several things could trigger Siri, like holding the button on the side of the phone or a word. AI Johnson's name is brought up. Al Johnson's name is brought up. He's a private investigator who did forensics testing on the phone. Dove says he's aware of him, but he's not seen the reports. The defense asks if steps are happening on Maggie's phone and Alex's phone at the same time. Is there anything to indicate Alex's phone and Maggie's phone are moving together? And Dove says no. But here's the thing. If he's going to be out there killing his family, he's going to leave his phone in the house to make it look like he was sleeping. Just saying. Dove says he took information from Alex's Suburban and sent it to the FBI. Alex says to Maggie, Paul says you're getting a petty. Going to check on him. Be right back. Call me, babe. All right, there's all the ones that I went over already. At 9:06, it shows the car start 1 second after steps are recorded. Dove says no Bluetooth connections made by Alex's phone that he recorded. Says he doesn't see it in the FBI report either. All right, so he's walking and calling his wife, and his car is about to crank after walking to his car. Dove says it doesn't appear that Alex and Maggie's phones were together because they never log-stepped together. Dove says a Faraday bag could have blocked GPS. Is that like one of those special bags that you get so people can't track you and steal your credit card information? I could see having one of those bags. I wonder if they found a Faraday bag. Because he may have had that and it could have blocked his GPS from driving around. And he has money for that. Well, he did have money. Yeah, I think the steps thing is also bunk. I agree. I didn't hear that, Linda, but it could have. Maybe. All right, Dove leaves. So Britt Dove leaves. Here's some pictures if you want to see them. There's Alex. His expressions change so much in court. Like 1 minute he'll go from like sobbing into the next minute he's like very in tune and paying attention. or going like this. He shakes a lot. Buster, son of Alex Murdaugh, sticks with family and friends during the trial. I guess that's John Marvin or the other brother. Buster and his girlfriend. That's the spreadsheet showing Maggie Murdaugh's times. A text message sent from Maggie Murdaugh's cell phone shown as evidence during Alex Murdaugh's trial for murder. It says, Alex wants me to come home. I had to leave door open at Edisto, but trust Mexicans to shut and lock for me. His dad is in the hospital. They don't show it all. God damn it. His dad is in the hospital, something. So that's probably the one where she said, "Freak, get the hell out of here." I still think he's involved. I wouldn't say free Alex Murdaugh. But I will say the prosecution probably needs to step it up a little bit. But it's still early. Dathan Varnado says he answered an alarm call at the address a while back. He tested his hands for gunshot residue. He testified as an expert in gang lingo and gang slang. Says it was terminology from a phone call. Says he and Murdaugh recognized each other the night of the murders. Murdaugh told him he understood the procedure of collecting GSR. No debris on his hands. His hands look clean. He was cordial and respectful. All right, so Rogan Gibson, this is Paul's friend, which I think is the best. I know, Ryan, I know. Like, why not say that, like, my housekeeper will make sure it's locked or whatever? Why say the Mexicans? I just thought that was so weird too. Like, why word it that way? Oh, what'd you say, Risk? Sorry, did you ask a question that I missed? All right, so Rogan Gibson gets called to the stand. He lived next door to Paul when they were younger. Gibson said he was close friends with Paul until he died, said he loves hunting and fishing in the farm on Moselle. Gibson says he considered the Murdaughs a second family. He called Paul Rooster, Buster Bus, Maggie Miss Maggie, and Alex Mr. Alex, or Big Red. Attorney Creighton Waters is asking Gibson to point out locations and landmarks on the property. Says he and Paul spend their time shooting and hunting on the property. Says they would hunt anything they could. Yeah, right, Sarah. Change that to lawyer. Gibson said they would hunt hogs using a 300 blackout and thermal scope. Says they used Buster's gun. Says he was told someone took Paul's gun out of his truck at a party. Gibson says Paul used a 12-gauge Benel Super Black Eagle. He's shown a photo of a gun he identifies as Paul's from the pattern and strap. Says he would hunt hogs all over the property. Says Paul usually had the gun. Gibson testifies Paul was on his cell phone a lot. Says Maggie preferred the Edisto house because of the flies at Moselle. Says Paul would often stay in Columbia or Charleston, but would go to Moselle when he was home. Gibson talks about his dog Cash. Says his dog was staying at the kennels at Moselle. Says he was working on St. Helena Island and was staying in Beaufort with his girlfriend. Gibson would go home on the weekends and pick Cash up from the kennels. Gibson says he talked to Paul around lunchtime on June 7th. Paul told him about the sunflowers that had died and how he's going to replant them. Gibson says he talked to Paul again around 8:40. Paul told Gibson something was wrong with Cash's tail. Gibson asked for a picture of Cash. Says Paul was at the kennels when he called, and he heard Maggie and thought he heard Alex. Gibson said Paul was going to try and FaceTime him so he could see Cash's tail. If not, Paul was going to send a video of Cash. Says the FaceTime didn't work well, and he never got a video. Gibson said he tried to call and text Paul and Maggie and never heard from either of them. says he went to bed around 10 p.m. and woke up to missed calls. He woke up around 5 a.m. and says a friend had left him a voicemail about Paul and Maggie. Gibson went to Moselle the next day and saw John Marvin, says he picked up cash. Gibson says he talked to Jeff Croft and Katie McAllister from SLED, says they asked about communication with Paul and took screenshots of his phone and messages to Paul and Maggie. Gibson has shown the photos of the screenshots, says the phone call at 8:40 lasted about 4 minutes and FaceTime only lasted 11 seconds because it wasn't working correctly. He recounts the text, asking Paul to send a photo of Cash's tail so they can send it to a friend who is a vet. Gibson is shown calls made to Paul between 9 and 10. The calls were not answered. Gibson had missed calls from Alex at 10:21, 10:24, 10:25, and 10:30. Gibson told investigators he was 99% sure he heard Alex on the phone call with Paul. Says he was asked about it from Maggie's mother and told her he heard Maggie and Alex on the phone, which I think it sounds just like Alex. He has a very distinct voice. Gibson says he never spoke to Alex that night or if he was there. Says at the same time he went on and he became less sure. Says as time went on he became less sure that the voice was Alex. He's later brought in and shown the kennel video. Says 100% it was Maggie, Paul, and Alex. Gibson has played the video from Paul's phone and says he 100% recognizes Alex's voice and points Alex out to the court. Jim Griffin comes up for cross-exam. Gibson says he had permission to come and go and use the equipment on the farm, and he would help out. Gibson says he and Buster and Nolan lived in the cabin on the property at one time, and Paul was there a lot. He describes Paul and Alex's relationship as very good. Gibson says Paul was a good, loyal friend. He tells Griffin that Maggie always took care of him and treated him like he was hers. Gibson says Edisto and Moselle were open to all of Paul's friends. Says Alex appeared to love being around his family, and Gibson says he enjoyed being around Maggie and Alex. Gibson brings up the 2019 boating accident that killed Mallory Beach. He says he didn't think any of the threats Paul would get were serious. Says people would threaten Paul while he was out. He asked about the vehicles on the property. Gibson says 3 other trucks were at the property, and Paul would drive any of them. Says Paul would often have a firearm in the vehicle. Griffin asks if the trucks were locked. Gibson says they weren't. Says Paul would leave guns in the trucks. Yeah. So this is...
Get that.
Oh, I guess they have little dog houses. There's like a little dog house in the back. Like their little houses.
Quit, Cash. Quit. It's okay. Come here. Come here, Cash. Cash.
Is that a hose?
Bird in his mouth.
That sounds like a hose. Maybe they were spraying the hose.
That's a guinea.
This is a chicken. Come here, Cash. Cash. Quit.
Alright. Gibson says it doesn't take long to get from the kennels to the house. Says if you're going fast enough, you can get there in under a minute. Gibson is asked about the difference in shots for waterfowl. Says the lead shot isn't allowed for waterfowl, so it doesn't go in the water. Griffin asks about Paul's stolen blackout, and Gibson says he doesn't remember when it was stolen. He says he doesn't remember seeing Paul using a gun other than the black one with a thermal scope after Paul's was stolen. Says he doesn't remember another blackout rifle. Yeah, Bubba got that chicken. He ate the chicken. Or he's blading it or something. Gibson describes Murdaugh as upset. Well, they're hunting dogs, so of course they're going to grab the bird, you know? Gibson describes Murdaugh as upset in the days after the murders. Says Maggie and Alex had a close, loving relationship, said they love Paul and Buster. Griffin asked Gibson if he could think of a reason Alex would brutally murder Paul and Maggie, and he says, not that I can think of. Gibson is excused from the witness stand, and the court takes a 10-minute recess. Will Love so when he was 15 and Paul was 13. says they did stuff together when they were at the beach together. Loving says he and Paul got closer as time went on. Says they would hunt. He was one of Paul's roommates in Colombia before the murders. Loving says he was a couch guest, but it became a long-term thing. Says he and Paul and another friend were about to move to another house. Yeah, I know. I'm trying to finish this so I can get off because it's lagging me out. I seen it do it on my screen. He started at 9, so we've been doing okay for now. What's up, Randy man? You're staying away. All right. Loving says they would use vehicles when hunting using the Black 300 blackout with a thermal scope. Says he heard about Paul's gun being stolen at a party. Says the replacement gun didn't have a sight on it for a while and stayed in the gun cabinet in the gun room. Says he and Paul bought a red dot sight for the other gun. I guess you're showing him a rifle. Loving is also able to identify Paul's shotgun. Says the blackout round is usually louder than the shotgun. Says Paul told him he didn't want a suppressor on his gun because it would limit distance. Loving says he received a Snapchat video of Paul and Alex looking at trees. I guess that's the one we saw where the tree came over. And then Loving says Maggie would go to the kennels a lot, but usually during the day. Says sometimes she would be there after dark, but probably wouldn't go after dark. Loving says he went to Moselle after the murders. He talked to Alex mostly. We mostly just grieved. Waters asked Loving about the boat case, if he knew about it, and if he talked to Paul about it. He said he knew about the crash, but didn't talk to Paul about it. Limit distance. It's incorrect for people who know about guns. They should know that, I guess. Loving is asked about properties owned by the Murdaughs and is asked about the Hampton property that was sold and says Paul never told him a reason, just that it was sold. Testified that the red dot site was put on Alex's account, says he would get money from Alex when he needed it. Loving is asked about the video from the kennels. He says he was able to recognize the voices in the video. The video is played out for Loving. Loving says he's 100% sure the voices are Alex, Maggie, and Paul. He is then asked to identify Alex in the courtroom. Griffin comes up for Will's cross-examination. Griffin asks about the Snapchat video sent to Loving. He says it came around 7 p.m. Loving says Paul would post things on Snapchat often. Griffin asks if people could see where Paul was posting from. He says he didn't think he kept the location on. Loving says Paul left a 300 blackout at his house for around a month. Griffin asks if another friend found Paul's deer rifle in his closet during the move. Loving says yes. Loving says he never knew about Paul's original rifle. He describes the relationship between Paul and Alex as awesome, says the same about the relationship between Maggie and Alex. He was scared after Paul was murdered. He's shown the Snapchat video he received from Paul. The video appears to show Alex in long pants and a shirt. Waters is in redirect asks Loving if he knew anything about Alex's finances or law practices. Loving says no. And then I guess is that all of it today? I guess that's it. That's all they had for today. All right, so I will. Hey, that girl. I'm actually about to end it, girl. Actually, I can probably show. I don't know. I don't have it organized. So I'm just gonna wait and do it. Probably tomorrow, the Jennifer Brown stuff. Because it's gonna take a while. It's just screenshots of things that the business partner was saying and some things that I found that were a little sus. And ooh, I want a yummy dinner. I ate dinner already, but I'm hungry again, so I'm probably gonna go get food now. But I'm gonna end it because Dave's streaming, and I've been over streaming for like 41 minutes and probably, you know, lagging his stream. So I'm gonna hop off. But if you're getting in here late, you can rewind. And thanks, Rye. I tried to put up a lot of points as I could, even though it kind of seems long, drawn out, and boring. It's easier to get a recap than watch the whole thing, because sometimes I'll like fall asleep because it gets so boring. So I like going back and getting the recaps. And Fox 10 and CBS are doing a great job recapping it. But yeah, I'll show the Jennifer Brown stuff tomorrow, and I'll be back. What's today? Wednesday? Yeah. Either tomorrow or Friday, but maybe I'll do like a pre-record. I don't know. I'll play it by ear. Hey, Jonesin. You're welcome. Good night, everybody. But yeah, rewind if you haven't seen it all, and you can get all the updates. And make sure you like my stream. And if you're watching on Facebook or anything, I am on YouTube too under the same name. So, good night, guys. Bye.